Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. On the 26th of November in the first year of Qianlong, December 16, 705, at dawn, as the first light of day began to rise, the eastern capital of Luoyang was bathed in golden rays. In the Xiangu Hall of the Shangyang Palace by the Luo River, located on the western side of the city, Empress Zetian, now over 50 years old, pale and worn, with no makeup applied, had not rested properly for nearly 3 months. Every time she closed her eyes, the ghosts of Empress Wang and consort Xiao would appear in her mind. They came hand in hand, their hair disheveled and their clothes tattered, reproaching her for all her wrongs. 50 years ago, Zetian had become the Empress of Emperor Gaozong Liji of the Tang dynasty. In order to secure her position, she had removed Empress Wang and consort Xiao from power. On her deathbed, Empress Wang had still shown the grace of the Guanzhong nobility, wishing for the eternal happiness and well-being of Li Ji and Zetian. However, consort Xiao was far more outspoken, swearing before her death that Zetian would face endless retribution. The souls of the two women had never found peace and frequently appeared in Zetian's dreams, disturbing her every night and causing her sleeplessness. For this reason, Zetian decided to move to Luoyang and build the Shangyang Palace. She issued a strict order forbidding any cats to be kept in the palace, with severe punishment for any violators. The name of the palace, Shangyang, symbolized the Son of Heaven, representing the suppression of dark forces by light, and the victory of immortals over ghosts. 10 months prior, Zhang Jianji and others had staged a coup, removing Zetian from the throne of the Zhou dynasty and restoring the Tang Empire. By this time, Zetian's health had severely declined, and for an entire lunar month, her condition showed no sign of improvement. The political currents outside the court were tumultuous, and she herself was exhausted. She had originally believed that the Zhou dynasty would endure for many generations, as she had already named her son, Wu Xian, Li Xian, whom Zetian had personally given the surname Wu, as the crown prince. She had hoped that upon her death, Wu Xian would naturally succeed the throne and become the second emperor of the Zhou dynasty. She even planned for her own posthumous worship as the founding empress of the Zhou dynasty. Even if, in the future, her ministers were to support the restoration of the Tang dynasty by enthroning Li Xian, Zetian had never imagined that this would happen during her lifetime. She had believed it would only occur after her death. However, she never expected that the court's senior officials would not wait for her death. Prime Minister Zhang Jianji secretly contacted General Yang Yuanyan of the Right Imperial Guard, General Li Duozhua of the Left Imperial Guard, and other officials, planning to bring Li Xian into the palace and force Zetian to abdicate. On the morning of the 22nd day of the first lunar month, the sky was covered with thin clouds, and the cold wind cut through the air. Li Xian had no idea what was happening. When he was informed of the situation, he was completely at a loss, filled with confusion and astonishment. It was an enormous shock. He never imagined he would be thrust into the center of such a storm. Others were seeking power and glory, but they had pushed him into this predicament, forcing him to bear the guilt of disloyalty and ingratitude. He thought Zetian was like the setting sun, soon to fade away. He assumed that he would naturally ascend to the throne in a year or so. But now, everything had changed. Though he could become emperor, if he failed, his family might be executed, and this was a dangerous gamble with his own life and his family's future for the benefit of others. Moreover, Li Xian hesitated, feeling that forcing his mother to abdicate would be unfilial. If he caused her distress, and she were to die because of it, he would be cursed for eternity. Zhang Jianji, Yao Chong, and the others understood this, but they could offer no rebuttal. After all, forcing a sick and elderly mother to abdicate was, morally speaking, a difficult matter to bring up. However, Li Duozhua thought differently and angrily said, "We have risked our lives and endured threats from all sides to get to this point. We have restored the Tang dynasty's empire. Li Xian, you are here now quibbling over these trivial matters. The events of today are inevitable. Just come with us and say nothing more. Li Xian still hesitated, until Wang Tongjiao intervened, saying, what has been set in motion must be done. If you do not go, nothing will succeed, and we will all be executed. You will have no good days either. With that, Wang Tongjiao did not wait, but immediately helped Li Xian onto a horse and sped toward Wu Zetian's residence, the Yingzhan courtyard. At that moment, Li Xian finally realized that the situation had reached a point of no return. Historical records note that Yingzhan courtyard was hidden among flourishing trees, quiet and elegant. In the courtyard's gathering hall, Wu Zetian lay half-reclined on a couch, smiling as she waited for Zhang Yizhi to draw her eyebrows. Zhang Changzong was focused on playing the zither. Wu Zetian's face was square, with a wide forehead, a delicate chin, and long, black eyebrows. In her later years, she preferred drawing broad eyebrows to create a dignified and grand appearance. In her youth, however, to win the favor of Emperor Li Shimin, she often drew arched eyebrows, slender and curved, soft and graceful. This earned her the name Wu Mei from Li Shimin. Suddenly, a commotion was heard outside. Zhang Changzong and Zhang Yizhi quickly put down their work and went outside to investigate. As soon as they reached the corridor, they were spotted by the Imperial Guard. The soldiers shouted, "The two traitors are here," and immediately rushed toward them with weapons drawn. The two Zhangs realized the danger and immediately turned to flee toward the hall. However, the Imperial Guard soldiers, well-trained and swift, quickly caught up with them, surrounded them, and eventually subdued them. The heads of Zhang Yizhi and Zhang Changzong were brought to the Hall of Immortality. When Empress Wu Zetian saw this, she realized that the situation would not be easily resolved today. She coldly asked, "What exactly do you want to do?" Zhang Jianji answered, "The two Zhans were plotting treason, and we are here to remove the traitors." Wu Zetian remained silent for a moment. Her gaze swept over those present, and she softly said, "The two Zhans have already been executed. You may leave now." However, Huan Yanfan said, "We cannot leave. You must hand the throne over to the crown prince." Upon hearing this, Wu Zetian's gaze swept over them like a blade of ice. These individuals had once served her, and under her oppressive authority. They were still filled with fear in their hearts and dared not meet her gaze. Eventually, her eyes landed on Li Zhan, the son of Li Fu. In anger, she said, "If I hadn't relied on your father, he would have been eliminated by Changsun Wuji long ago. It was only because I remembered your father's past contributions that I promoted you, and yet you dare to betray me." Li Zhan lowered his head in silence and did not answer. However, Wu Zetian's authority quickly faded. The situation was set, and the course of events could no longer be changed. She was ultimately placed under house arrest outside the Immortal Palace, with drums and gongs celebrating the new emperor's ascension to the throne. Li Xian became the second emperor of the Great Zhou dynasty, and Wu Zetian was honored as Empress Zetian, marking the origin of the name Wu Zetian. Only in the final moments of her life did she officially hold the title Zetian. On the 4th day of the 2nd month, Li Xian declared the restoration of the Tang dynasty. Luoyang was reinstated as the eastern capital of the Tang, and all the officials who had been punished by Wu Zetian were fully rehabilitated. People turned their backs on her, including her own daughter, Princess Taiping. She considered herself a Tang princess and completely severed ties with Wu Zetian. Until Wu Zetian's death, Princess Taiping never once visited her. However, every 10 days, Li Xian would come to visit his mother and report on the situation outside. The mother and son often discussed state affairs together. Wu Zetian was not only a woman but also an extraordinary politician. As a political figure, her greatest concern was how history would judge her. Once, Wu Zetian asked Li Xian, "How do you plan to evaluate me?" Li Xian replied, I need to go back and discuss it with the court officials. Wu Zetian looked at her indecisive and weak-willed son with a look of pity and couldn't help but feel a sense of melancholy in her heart. However, Li Xian, along with Zhang Jianji and the others, ultimately did not disappoint her. After much deliberation, they confirmed the legitimacy of the Wu Zhou regime. Wu Zetian did not seize the throne to replace the Tang, but rather took on the responsibility of protecting the Tang Empire at a critical moment and justifiably resisted rebellions such as those led by Su Jingye. Now, with the major threats eliminated, Wu Zetian decided to pass the throne to Li Xian and restore the Tang regime. By March, Li Xian restored the original family names of Empress Wang and consort Zhao's descendants. These individuals had once been given the surnames Mang and Shao by Wu Zetian. In August, as the autumn breeze began to cool, the souls of Empress Wang and consort Shao frequently appeared in Wu Zetian's dreams. Thus, Wu Zetian requested from Li Xian to take out the Great Bright Cloud Sutra and recite it day and night. This sutra was originally a classic of the Manichaean religion, and before her rise to power, Wu Zetian had ordered Feng Xiaobao and others to complete its compilation. Manichaeism proclaimed that Maitreya Buddha would be reincarnated to save all beings, and Wu Zetian claimed that she herself was the reincarnation of Maitreya Buddha, bearing the mission of saving the world. Therefore, she personally recited this sutra, intending to suppress the ghosts in her heart. As everything settled, past honors and disgraces, gains and losses, seemed like fleeting clouds, gone in an instant. On the afternoon of November 26, Li Xian, as was customary, came to visit his mother. The elderly Wu Zetian said to him, "After I die, I wish to remove the title of Empress of Wu, and instead be called Empress of the Tang dynasty, to be buried alongside my late husband, Emperor Li Ji." She also requested a pardon for Empress Wang and consort Zhao's wrongdoings. In fact, this was her way of seeking their forgiveness, hoping to be granted mercy and forgiveness in the afterlife. 50 years ago, Empress Wang, in a bid for favor, encouraged Emperor Li Ji to bring Wu Mei, who had already taken the vows as a nun, into the palace from the monastery and live with her as if they were sisters. At that time, Wu Mei lived alone in the monastery, leading a quiet life, surrounded by the soft glow of candles, ancient Buddha statues, incense smoke, and scriptures. One day, Emperor Li Ji personally visited her, and Wu Mei deliberately took out a bright red pomegranate-colored skirt. This skirt was the one she wore when she first met Emperor Li Ji, bright red like blood, full of allure. When Emperor Li Ji saw her wearing this skirt, he was immediately struck by its brilliance and became lost in her beauty. From that moment on, he was deeply captivated by Wu Mei, unable to extricate himself. To express her feelings, Wu Mei even wrote a poem for Li Ji, looking at vermilion turning to jade, "Thoughts of you overwhelm me, weary and emaciated, I long for you. Don't believe it? Come and shed a tear, open the box and see the pomegranate skirt." The entangled relationships and emotions of the three began at this moment, becoming intricate and difficult to unravel. Some historians have commented that the Tang dynasty marked a pivotal turning point in Chinese civilization and was a key phase in the development of Chinese culture. During the flourishing Tang period, the Tang dynasty was not only a symbol of political strength and economic prosperity but also represented the cultural openness and inclusiveness of that era. It showcased a vast and grand spirit. However, after the peak of the Tang dynasty, as the country gradually transformed, Chinese civilization began to shift from being outward-looking to being more inward-focused, returning to a more self-contained way of life. When we look back at the history of the flourishing Tang dynasty, we can't help but marvel at its openness and grandeur, reminiscing about the style and elegance of that era, which is unforgettable. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.